Investing in rental real estate. Yesterday when we were doing the live stream with old Fritz Gilbert from the Retirement Manifesto, a couple of y'all had commented, what do you think about rental real estate? I don't have any rental real estate, just FYI. Neither does Fritz. But Fritz has experience in that regard, in that he had bought a house in Blue Ridge while he was still living in he was living in Conyers. And they had a house up in Blue Ridge while they were still living in Conyers, and they paid, I don't know, $200,000, something like that. I have no idea. And then they're Airbnb in it. I think he said 200 days out of the 365 of the calendar year, they were having tenants in there. And as such, the Airbnb paid their rent, which, if you ask me, is pretty doggone cool. Pretty doggone cool. And so essentially, he said it probably cost him, 10 hours, what did he say, 10 hours a month, I think, getting people in there, emailing people and stuff like that for basically a free house. That seems pretty sweet to me. I actually think that's not a bad idea if you got some cash flow. Well, I mean cash flow because you got to be able to pay. I mean, most likely you're going to want to take a mortgage on that rental real estate. See, I think real estate has opportunity in here. I'm not like hey, flip a house, or what's like a Meet Kevin guy, I don't even know what he calls it, some kind of spread, I don't even know what he calls it. But anyway, I think there's opportunity because interest rates are low. Interest rates are going to stay low. Bonds are not attractive. And if interest rates stay low, bonds will continue to not be attractive. While inflation is low, there's still taxation. And net of taxes and inflation, you're not making any money on your bonds. I think rental real estate as an alternative to bonds is actually not a bad thing. Because you think about it. If you're getting 2% on a bond, or we'll just say 3%, after taxes and inflation, you're not making any money. You're keeping even. The problem with that, though, is that inflation compounds. So what costs $1 costs $1.02 tomorrow, $4.1 the next day, $6.3 the next day. See what I'm saying? Or the next year. And so because of that, inflation is growing compounded, but your fixed income is fixed. I probably should do this on a whiteboard. I think it'll be pretty interesting for you to see what I'm talking about. Every year you're paying taxes. Now, the tax rates are compounded too, don't get me wrong, but every year you're still paying tax on the interest you're making, less and less, because you're actually making less and less, because your bonds are fixed. They're fixed. So if inflation's at 2, your interest is at 3, it's only a matter of time before inflation overcomes the interest you get on your bonds. I hope that makes sense. Whiteboard would be good for this. I'll do that later on today. And so where I'm going with this, what happens to real estate? Real estate compounds with inflation. If you look historically speaking, I mean, using Robert Shiller stuff at Yale, real estate is literally inflation. It follows inflation almost 100% correlated. It's nuts. Now, some places it gets hammered. Some places it goes crazy. Location does dictate, for sure. But what I'm saying is, all right, for just on average, you keep up with inflation. Inflation is a compounding asset in terms of real estate. Fixed income is a deflationary asset because inflation keeps actually beating down the fixed income each and every year. It gets less and less and less. And so real estate now, a limited supply, we know that. How many people actually have the skill set to work on these places? Not very many. So it's not like contractors are throwing up houses every which way to Sunday. So many regulations, price of lumber, so much supply limitations. But demand is still high, and even though we have a burgeoning baby boomer, for retirement, a real vacation. I don't even know about vacation homes anymore. I still think vacation homes are going to be of value. You'll probably be able to get a cheap one here soon. And when I say cheap, I mean 20% discount. I don't know, but just basic old demographics. But anyway, so with real estate, there's just not that many people. There's just not that many people who can actually build houses. They just don't have the skill set. So it means the price goes up because there's more of a demand for the people who do have that, which inherently means the cost of labor goes up as well, plus the cost of lumber, never mind the regulatory environment we live in, all that stuff. On top of that, how many people actually have the cash flow to buy a rental real estate? Not many. Not many. I mean, if you don't have the cash flow to buy it, but you do want to go vacation in Asheville, Georgia, North Carolina, what are you going to do? You're going to Airbnb. Now, I think there could be some limitations on Airbnb. I was reading someplace, I think it was in Maine. Somebody was talking. There's that guy, Doug, my man Doug from Doug Schauf, Schauf. He's a realtor up in Maine. I forgot Your Life in Maine or something. He's got a YouTube channel. A good guy. He said some of these places are having more and more limitations on Airbnb. Oh, whoa, man, yikes. Big ol' dookie. Don't take a dookie in the urinal. Anyway, so he said that could happen for sure, but I mean, it could also happen the same thing with rentals. I mean, Airbnb and rentals are two sides of the same coin, right? You got non-owner occupied residents. So if they can limit Airbnb, I imagine they can limit rents too. So that would seem to be hurt both sides of that coin. You have to look into that for sure. But also, if you have a community dominated by Airbnb people, that's not going to happen. But if you have a community dominated by owner-occupied residents and they find out 2 or 3 houses in there are doing Airbnbs, and these people who rent those houses are freaking up to no good of the Airbnb, you could easily see the town council saying, no, we're not going to allow that. So you got to be careful. But man, it just seems to me there's opportunity there. Now, like Fritz, he goes, I didn't want to maintain it in retirement. He said it was basically a part-time job and I didn't want to do that. So he sold, and then he bought his house where I was doing a live stream one yesterday. I still think that has opportunity. Now you're gonna have to do your own research. I don't know the slightest thing about that, but if you have some cash flow and you can squeeze out a $200,000 place, just say you took a 100% mortgage for simplicity, it's gonna cost you $1,000 a month. Rent out 2 times a month for $1,500. That seems like it could work, but something to think about. Again, I'll do the whiteboard on it when I compare inflation to fixed income, because I think people overlook this, and I think it shows you how bad bonds really can be, even more so than what you think. All right, Pablo's getting ready to bark at somebody, so I'll let you go. I'll see you.